Good evening. My name is Anthony Helms, and I am here today to talk to you about all things Lee Honors College at Western Michigan University. I am a 2007 and 2014 graduate of Western, and I've been serving Honors College students for 7 years in the Lee Honors College. We are one of the oldest Honors Colleges in the country and one of the larger in the Midwest right now, with about 1,700 students. I'd like to make this as beneficial for you as possible, so please type in your questions. If you click the chat bubble on your screen, you can submit those at any time. I will address those in the order that they come in. We're a college that works with all 7 academic colleges at Western, so there is nothing about the experience as an honors student that will extend your time as a Bronco. This is something that will, again, try to add to your college experience, but not add time to your college experience. So we work well, we play well with others, we work well with all majors and minors on campus. We have representatives from all the academic colleges and majors studying within the Honors College. And I can start off with kind of giving you an overview of the presentation, but I wanted to open it to questions first. Does anybody have any just burning questions about the Honors College or what honors education looks like at Western? I don't see anything yet, so we're just going to I'm going to keep talking here about just the differentiators for us. So when I talk about differentiators, it means I'm trying to point out things that make us different than our competitors. As you are comparing institutions to attend for your degree, I hope you're also comparing honors education, because if you want to be a more engaged student, if you want to get more out of that college experience, honors education is the best route, in my opinion, for you to go. I really want you to think about, as prospective students, as you're asking questions tonight, as we're engaging with each other about what honors education looks like here, I really want you to be planning for college intentionally and be ready to show up. And the bargain I try to, or the negotiation I try to offer you as you come in the door is that this is the last possible time that the world's going to give you just to selfishly invest in yourself as a student. Become the person you want to be, identify the goals that you want for yourself and for your career, and to be able to not only identify those goals, but do the hard work here in college in order to accomplish those goals as graduates. So we've got a couple questions coming in. What are the minimum number of honors classes required? Thanks, Haley. So the minimum number of honors classes is actually a credit requirement. So for your bachelor's degree, you're going to earn at least 122 credits from the university. We are going to require you to take 18 credits with us. So again, it doesn't go by courses. That way, if you take a 4-credit course, you're getting 4 credits as opposed to just 1 course. Or if you take a 2-credit course, you're getting 2 credits as opposed to just one course. So it's 18 total credits. 2 of those are research. So 2 credit hours are research. One is a research prep semester where we teach you how to start the process. And the second one is a research credit you take with your faculty mentor who's supervising your project. So I'll get more to thesis in a minute and talk about those research credits. But to answer your question, Haley, again, 18 total credits before graduation, and 2 of those are specific to research. The other 16 you pick as an honors college student to see what we offer and find out what overlaps into your program, but also what else you could take with us that would be beneficial to your path. Tucker asked how many aviation students are in the Honors College. I'm pretty good at our enrollment. I can't tell you right off the rip how many there are off the top of my head. We have 1,700 students right now. Aviation is just by the size one of the smaller colleges. And last time I checked, we had about between 80 and 90 aviation majors. So 80 and 90 may not seem like a whole lot, but relative to 1,700 and the size of the aviation college, that's a good bit. Aviation has 3 majors in it. So you have flight science, management, and technical operations, maintenance operations. I probably messed up some of those specific terms, but those are the 3 areas that you study in. We have representatives from all of those within the college. And so so again, this doesn't add time, or there's no impediment to any major or minor on campus. We've worked really hard with the academic colleges to make sure that's the case. Make sure that that we do play well with others, and that every major can find value in the types of things that we offer as a unit. So yeah, keep those questions coming. If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna jump into the thesis process for two reasons. One, it's the thing that most y'all are probably a little worried about, whether you want to admit it on a web chat or not. And two, it's the best thing that you'll do as a student. It's the thing that's going to make the most impact in your future career. So if you don't mind, if you can toss out a couple majors into the Q&A chat, I could actually give you some examples of students within those majors and kind of what they would do for their thesis. But let's just talk generally about the process while y'all are putting some of those majors up for me. Yep, marketing. Thanks, Haley. I'll get back to you in a second. So you have the thesis process, and if you take nothing else away from this web chat, please remember that this is nothing you ever will do by yourself. This is not a solo project. Yes, you are the sole author of this project, but you do nothing alone. A lot of students have this image of walking into Waldo Library at the end of their junior year and coming out 3 or 4 months later over the summer, real haggard looking with this perfect stack of white paper. And that will never, ever happen. It never has happened in the history of honors colleges. If you go to honors colleges, like organizations and conferences, which I often do, they'll have whole weekends about how we can think of a better name than a thesis, because y'all are scared of a thesis. And so we've gone the opposite direction. We've doubled down on that term, and we just talk about it very often. So first, again, you do nothing by yourself. And second, this is, again, the most impactful thing that you'll do as a student. So I'm going to use these couple of majors that have been tossed out, marketing and aviation management and operations. And so I'll use those two, and please keep tossing them in. I can continue to provide examples. But I'm going to start with Haley with the marketing, because I'm very biased. I got to work with the business majors for the last 6 years when I was in the advising office for us. And so I just know a little bit more about those areas. And Haley, what I'd like for you to do is to think about, when you start picking a topic, I want you to identify what you want to do with your career. What do you want to market? What type of product or service are you going to try to market? What geographic area of the country? What's the demographic that you're trying to market goods or services to? And then we work our way backwards from there. So if you can tell me more about that, not you specifically right now, but that's how that advising conversation would go, hopefully your sophomore, junior year. So ideally, your marketing thesis is going to be a marketing plan. It's going to be the thing that you slide across to a professional at the end of your career here, and you're applying for jobs, and saying, this is what makes me more prepared than the person that's coming behind me. This is my honors thesis. It shows you what I was able to come up with as a marketing major. I tackled a problem that I'm going to now solve for you as an employee. And it may be a problem of your own making, right? Or setting, as far as being a sales quota or something like that, but it could be something really impactful that just affects the community and the world around you. But for marketing, we want something tangible. We want something that you're going to be able to show an employer and say, this is what I'm capable of and why you need to hire me before the next person. All of these theses are published, so you would be able to have a URL that you hand them and say, hey, like, this is where you can see more about my work. Haley's going into marketing, so I think you should do a little bit better marketing job than that by printing this off on nice glossy paper, handing a copy to the people in the room and just saying, hey, take this with you, read through it. I had an expert faculty member walk me through this process. I applied 4 years of marketing theory to a practical problem or issue or question that I'm going to then be able to tackle for you as a professional. I wrote it up. Here's a copy. I stood up in public. I defended my results, and I'm published by Western Michigan University. One of the cooler things, and I'll get to aviation management as the next major in just a second, but one of the cool things is that you are published by us as an honors student, as an honors graduate, the same way master's students and doctoral students are. And so every 3 months, you get an email as a graduate that says, hey, this is how many people have downloaded your work. They show you a map of the world that you can see where in the world. They have little red flags that show you everywhere where that's been downloaded. And so, again, that's a benefit you want to take forward. Again, as a marketing student, you're probably a lot savvier with the business aspects of that and how powerful that can be in a meeting. All right, so I've got 2 folks here from aviation, Carly in aviation management and operations, and then Tucker for flight science. So I'm going to give you examples for both. I'm going to start with, and then I see one for chemical engineering. Yours is more of a straightforward answer, so I'll get to you in just a second. So for aviation management, my favorite honors thesis, and you can go see this right now if you just Google Honors College, and the name Diogene. Diogene D'Souza is working at Heathrow Airport right now. He and I traveled as part of an experiential learning course. I'm going to tell you more about Stay in the States in a minute. But we went to Stay in the States together. We visited several cities in Texas as part of that course. We got to know each other well. He wanted to work in aviation management. He grew up in Europe, Southern Europe, parts of the Middle East, Dubai area, but was Portugal by origin, I believe. Sorry, Dia, if I messed that up. So he wanted to study management operations, comparing what is common practice at Chicago O'Hare to the busiest airport in France. And I'm not smart enough to remember which one that is, but he got to compare those management practices and show how culturally specific they were, but also where some efficiencies could be drawn from either best practice. So again, you can go check out Dio's work. Again, he got hired right away by Heathrow. And again, the aviation management thesis that he was able to produce with us spoke directly to what he would be doing as a professional at Heathrow. So I think that's a really quintessential example. For aviation flight science, I got you, Tucker. A couple different options. Another Stay in the States course I did with some students was to study gaming. And so we literally went to Silicon Valley for a couple weeks in Pittsburgh and studied companies that focus on gaming and how people learn through gaming now. That could be a whole another conversation. But for you, Tucker, this gentleman came back from that. And as you know, you're going to be, if you haven't already, been using a lot of flight simulators. Well, guess what? Those flight simulators are based on game theory. They have game theory coded into them in order to encourage you to learn quicker and more efficiently than you would just by studying a book on how to fly that plane. So he came back and studied that. He studied the game theory that was embedded within the aviation simulators. And then another student, you have a low oxygen room. If you haven't seen these yet, search in YouTube for the aviation low oxygen room. So this is a room at the aviation campus at the airport that you can slowly reduce the oxygen levels in the room and see how you operate. So you could do something like, okay, if I eat Wheaties one morning and grits the next morning, how do my motor skills decline with the speed of the oxygen decreasing in the room? Right? Is there, effects of diet, effects of caffeine use, effective sleeps, sleep hours the night before? Really important things that I hope you're researching as aviation flight students, because I like to fly, and I want to make sure that you are very well aware of how your body may react in some of those interactions. So there's two flight science examples. I believe I still have. Yep, chemical engineering. Now I'm gonna answer this chemical engineering one. But I'm also going to give some context to it for the other students in the room. A lot of honor students will hear this, and then they'll spend the rest of their time not liking engineers at Western. But this is specific. So all engineering programs have a senior design project, right? Your senior design project is very much an honors thesis, right? So senior design, you're going to do all the same steps that I just listed off for the honors thesis, but yours is going to be within a path already made out for you within chemical engineering. So your senior project will double count for your honors thesis. Your honors thesis basically comes down to about 20 minutes of paperwork your senior year to make sure we have the publication stuff to duplicate that work and to publish for you. So all engineering students and all graphic design students have a built-in capstone experience that double counts for the thesis. Now, the context I'm going to give everybody else in the room is that even though you think they may have an easier path for you, and apologies if you didn't know this yet about your chemical engineering program, but that is, Donna, this is going to be something that you spend a tremendous amount of time with in your senior year. So you're going to do all the same steps. You'll put in just as much labor into your thesis as everybody else, but you do have the option of having that completely built in for you. So good questions, right? So any other majors, just keep tossing those out there, and questions too, if you can think of anything. I'd really like to spend some time to talk to you about Stay in the States real quick, and then we can delve out to other topics from there. Stay in the States is featured prominently on our website, so you'll be able to check that out. It is, well, the thesis is the best thing you do as a student. The Stay in the States is the best thing we do for you as a college. And so Stay in the States are 4 to 5 courses a year. We take applications from faculty in the fall. They then will select from them, and we'll offer 4 to 5 of them that occur either over spring break, summer 1, or summer 2. So these are typically spring and summer courses. They last 10 to 14 days. They get Gen Ed approval, so that means you're actually counting a credit towards graduation while you're doing these courses. And essentially, we hire a faculty member who is going to take you someplace that is personally or professionally important to them, to explore a subject area. But instead of us teaching you that in the classroom, we're going to physically pick you up and drop you into that setting. So this is pure place-based experiential learning. So we're doing 4 courses this year, and I'll walk you through those just to give you an example. But the most important part for you as students, as you're thinking about where to attend, is that with Study in the States, you pay for 3 credits of tuition, the exact same amount that you would pay for a lecture class on our campus in the summertime. And we, as the Honors College, pay for every single one of your expenses. So that means your food, your lodging, your airfare, everything's taken care of. I always joke, I travel with some of these, so I always joke with students, if you want coffee in the airport or Skittles or a t-shirt, that's on you. Besides that, you get 3 square meals a day, you get to travel around, you don't have to worry about pulling your wallet out at all while you're engaged in this activity. So this year we've selected 4 courses. The first one is a repeat from last year. It is going to the southwest of the United States. This travels over spring break. So when school gets out on Thursday evenings, you will fly out the following morning to the Four Corners area, starting western Colorado. You do a lot of hiking, horseback riding, traveling in the Grand Canyon, studying both the ancient and modern Native American culture in that area, all under the expert guise of a faculty member, Dr. Jeffrey Jones, and in the College of Education. He pursued his doctorate out there. He's from that area, and so he's just really well versed. And again, you're getting out of the classroom and literally touching the Grand Canyon and understanding the importance of that geography, the importance of the economy surrounding that geography, and how we as Americans have adapted that landscape. So again, this is over spring break. You get Gen Ed credit, you come back and you finish the rest of your courses, and that's your spring semester. One of the other courses we're doing this year is another repeat from last year. It's called the Border Awareness Experience. And for me, this one and the next one really epitomize the value of what Stay in the States can do for you. This course, you go with a person who has been practicing medicine with a migrant population for more than 30 years, Dr. Denise Bowen, who is going to take these students down to El Paso, Texas in May. You're going to stay in El Paso, and you are going to venture across the border a couple times into Juarez. You stay at a place called the Ascension House that houses people that are in the transitory process across the border. You're going to talk directly with Border Patrol agents, Border Patrol Supervisors Union. You're going to visit a detention facility. You will go into Juarez. You're going to work with educational institutions that work on both sides of the border. You're going to head into and study the economy of Juarez. She's the expert, so I asked Denise Bowen to clarify these things. But my understanding is that about 40 to 50% of the economy within Juarez is owned by American companies. So, the economic situation requires transition across the border. So what we're going to do, and you'll of course visit the border wall. You also visit a lot of nonprofits and medical places that work on both sides. But we're going to remove those filters. Forget what the media's told you. Forget what you've learned from others. We're going to physically put you in that space, and you are going to figure out things on your own. And that's the value of Stay in the States. That's the value of place-based, true outside of classroom learning. The next course they'll be going this year is the American Experience. It covers slavery to the Great Migration. So you start in South Carolina, Charleston. It's my hometown. It has nothing to do with the course, but it's a great place to visit. You start there, which was the hub of most movements of slaves into the country from Africa. You're going to start there. You're going to work your way up to Washington, D.C., visit the African American Museum there at the Smithsonian. You're going to visit Cincinnati, Ohio, where the Underground Railroad museum is. You're going to visit several historical spots in the state of New York and Philadelphia, and work your way back to Detroit and back into Michigan. So again, 2 very tough but very important social topics, and that's what we'll be investing in for the second and third course. And the final one, big shout out to Dr. Christopher Tremblay, a WMU grad. He wrote his honors thesis on Disney. He wrote the course called Walt's Pilgrimage. This is the longest running Stay in the States course. Dr. Tremblay and I have been friends. He served as a professional mentor for me for many years, so I drive the van for him for the first couple of days. Walt's pilgrimage is all about Walt. It's not about the Disney company as much. It's really about Walt's life and his importance and role within Americana, within American history. And so you start in Chicago. I literally drive you to the place he was born. You stand in the room that Walt Disney was born in. We then travel down to Marceline, Missouri, a lovely town of 1,000 people. The red carpet is all rolled out for us there. They always know Western's coming, and the Honors College is there to show up for the day. You get to see where Walt first saw farm animals in this small Missouri town. Started to draw them, making them talk. I then drive you all over to Kansas City, where Dr. Tremblay will fly you out to California. But before that, we visit a lot of the important parts of Walt's life in Kansas City, including, if you didn't know this, Walt went bankrupt several times. And that was the first several failed business ventures were in Kansas City. So after I drop you off at the airport, I get to drive the van back because I like Christopher, but Dr. Tremblay doesn't like me enough to take me to California. Just remember that. And so y'all fly out to California. You work your way down from San Francisco to LA. There are 40 to 50 stops associated with this course from Chicago to LA where Walt's interred. And again, it's about the man. It's about the person and the role that he played in American history. Huge example of grit and adversity. And so a lot of the programming that I do in the college is really to help you as students build grit and resiliency. So I've learned a lot about how I can add value with that programming by learning about Walt's life. So great course, great outcomes. Looks like I've got another question. Summer internships for chemical engineering. You're an engineering student. You don't have to worry about internships. We have plenty of those. All engineers will have engineering career fairs that are built around those. I've yet to meet an engineering student who has any trouble applying for an internship. So what I would rather spend our time talking about when you get to campus is how we can support, how you can best tell the story of what an honor student is to make sure you get those internships and move forward. What I will tell you now is that of those 18 credits, you could get 8 credits of those just by doing internships. And there's a huge list of what we call experiential learning in the Honors College. Huge opportunities that include study abroad, studying a foreign language, studying American Sign Language, representing the institution in the marching band or Gold Company or some other music ensemble, varsity sports. Again, these are all valuable experiences that Western offers, right? Big public research institution, D1 sports, lots of opportunities, world-class fine arts facilities, right? These are all experiences at Western that will make you a better person, student, professional. And so we encourage you to engage in those activities by giving you honors credit. So down there, you're going to get a CHEG internship, chemical engineering internship. And when you do, we're going to give you honors credit for it, even if that has absolutely nothing to do with the Honors College. So we look forward to supporting you in that process. Tucker asked, what are some of the scholarships associated with the Honors College? So the bulk of our scholarships for first-year students all are run through the admissions office. And that starts with an event called the Medallion Competition. We'll be hosting 3 competitions this year, 3 competition dates, December 7th, which is a Saturday, Friday, January 10th, and Saturday, January 11th. So the 10th and 11th are back-to-back. You should see all of these dates as being equal. And so we want you to show up to the one that's the most convenient for you. We want you to enjoy your time on campus and be able to engage with us, engage with some faculty and staff. We're going to do some measuring of you, right? So we're going to have you engage in 2 different group problem-solving exercises. The essay competition is no longer part of your on-campus experience. You're welcome. That was a good effort on our part to get rid of that. We know you can write. We can see that from your standardized test scores, and we'd rather do some more fun things with you. More fun things with you while you're on campus than just the essay competition. So you'll do two group problem-solving exercises at Medallion. You'll be in different groups for both of those, so we shuffle you around a little bit. One of them is more of a diplomacy exercise. Can you play well with others? Can you make a group decision that in an unbiased and creative way? And the other one's going to be more technical and research oriented. The most important thing I can tell you is that there is nothing that you can do or should do in preparation for this competition. We work very hard to make this as equitable as possible. And what I mean is that we try our best to give you all the information that you need to engage in that process when you walk into the room. So there's nothing really to prepare for other than showing up, getting a good night's sleep, maybe a cup of coffee in the morning, and just be friendly. That's one of the things we're really looking for. We'll have a lot of y'all that show up that say, I am going to talk the entire time I'm in that group problem solving exercise, and everybody in that room is going to remember me. And most of those students are right. They are remembered, maybe not for the right reasons. So just because you talk the most doesn't mean you say the most. So incorporate others into the decision. So if you have some quieter students in your group, ask them to participate, ask them to chip in, ask them, I haven't heard from you yet. What is your take on this? Haley asked, when do students get notified if they qualify for the Honors College after being accepted? We sent our very first round of 2020 invitations last week. I believe we mailed out 300 postcards to some of y'all. You're also going to get notified via email. All medallion competitors, everybody that shows up to the competition is automatically invited, and we walk you through how to accept that process. If you haven't received your postcard yet, no worries. We are going to be doing this every time we hit 300 eligible students. We'll send another batch of postcards out to invite. So when you receive this invitation, either in your email or in the postcard, you should receive both, but definitely one or the other. You're going to have a URL that you'll type into your browser. It'll take you to our acceptance survey. You'll complete that acceptance survey, and you will be officially reserved as a member of the Honors College the following fall semester. We would like all of you to have us on your radar early, but just make sure that you're definitely on our radar and accepted by the time you show up for June orientation, because we want to make sure you get into honors classes. Let's talk about that for a minute. All right, so are honors classes harder? None of you are asking that question, but I think some of you may wonder that in the back of your head. Absolutely not. And when I talk about the differentiators, studying the states is one. That makes us different than other honors experiences. Our honors classes are another differentiator that make us different. If anybody has ever taken an honors by contract class, you'll be able to relate to this example. So when you are comparing us to other honors colleges, you should ask them, do you do honors by contract? And so that means that you, as an honors student, will walk into a classroom and say, hey, I'm an honors student. Which one of these syllabi are mine? And the professor will say, oh, your honors, great, this one's yours. It's the same as the other person's, but you get an extra 5-page research paper attached to it. Congratulations. You get to sweat more, and then you get to have that honors grade attached to it. We do not do honors by contract. What we do is we cap all of our courses at 25 students. We give you a faculty member who either we recruited to be in that room or they recruited us for the opportunity to teach you as honors students. We try to provide a much more discussion, debate focused classroom. So it's more about a more engaging experience, a deeper experience, not more work. That's not what we're looking for. It doesn't make you smarter. You always joke in the college that the smartest person in the room 15 years ago, 20 years ago was who could remember the most information. The internet has made that completely obsolete, right? So it's what you do with that information, how you critically analyze it, how you evaluate the value of that data, how you apply that data to a practical problem and produce results to affect a positive change in the world, right? Like that's what we want from our classrooms. It's not rote memorization or again, you get an extra research paper and get to call it honors, even though your experience in that classroom was nothing different than everybody else's experience in the classroom. Our goal is to provide you with that better experience. So I know you didn't ask about courses, but that's a good one to talk about. Keep putting the questions in there. I think I can talk more about what graduation looks like for us. We are coming up on our fall graduation ceremony. You get to be courted. It's my favorite academic tradition on our campus. At honors courting ceremony, which will take place here in a few weeks, the students, you as graduates, get to pick out somebody who's been significant to your success here at Western Michigan. And so it could be your thesis mentor, it could be a family member, it could be a girlfriend, could be a partner or a spouse, grandfather. We've had them all court people before. So it's you pick out somebody who's significant. You physically at our graduation ceremony have that person place the honors cords around your neck, which you then get to wear the following day at commencement at graduation for Western. So again, I'm biased. I've been hanging out with y'all for 7 years now, so I enjoy watching that courting ceremony, and I think it's a really nice opportunity for you to come back and give back to the students. All right, Tucker, you asked, what are the average SAT and ACT scores at the Honors College? It's a good question. I have absolutely no idea off the top of my head. But what we are going to talk about is how we adjusted our admissions procedure this year to talk about SAT and ACT scores. I'm a little bit biased. I don't have a tremendous amount of faith in the value that ACT and SAT offers to tell you about how well you're going to do in college. So for the very first time this year, we have de-emphasized the test score in our admissions process. And so if you have a 3.6 GPA, you'll get automatically invited to join the Honors College if you also have a 26 ACT score. But if you have a 3.8 GPA, you can have a 25 and you still get the automatic invite. And if you have a 4 point, you can have a 24 ACT and be invited to join the Honors College. A couple years ago, a lot of our competitors in the honors arena were increasing their test scores, right? And what we did was we went back and looked at what our students' test scores were coming in and how well they did as an honors student. And guess what? It didn't really translate to very much. It didn't help us identify students who would be successful with us and really enjoy our progress as a process as an honors college. So again, this is a conscious effort to de-emphasize that. Your best indicator of how well you do overall is how well you do next fall, as you're sitting in our classrooms on our campus for the very first time. Nationwide and at Western, the best indicator of how well you do is how well you do that first semester. And we're confident that we can put you in a better position for success to increase your chances of doing well next fall and also continue throughout your path here as a Bronco. So yeah, I don't know the average scores off the top of my head. What I can tell you is that as my role in the Alpha and the Delta Honor Society, which hopefully y'all are invited to in about a year from now, I'll probably be the last person to ever look at your ACT and SAT scores about a year from now. All right, Haley, what are some advantages of being in the Honors College? For example, first pick of classes. Yes, well played. All right, so I'm gonna tell you the top 3 things that students will tell you in the Honors College right now of why you should join. Number 1, we have good class size, small class sizes and good instruction. I think that's very important. The second one is priority registration, which is what Haley was asking about. Do you get to pick classes first? Yes, absolutely. Also very important. The third one is we have free coffee, tea, and hot chocolate all the time in our building. So, students will say that one's the most important. I would argue with them and say the first 2 are more important. But yes, you get priority registration all the way through, small class sizes that you get to choose from. Speaking of the building, we have a beautiful building right in the middle of campus. If I could take a moment to speak to that, we have is the Carl and Winifred Lee Honors College. These really kind people, Carl and Winnie, they built that building for you in 1990. They renovated it about 15, 20 years later. It sits right by the flagpole, so it's centrally located. Most of you as first-year students could throw a rock from our building and hit your classrooms. Please don't do that. But more importantly, that building is open late at night. It's open on weekends. It's open right now as I'm sitting here talking to you on a 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Kitchen's open all the time. They have access to that. But more importantly, it's a place for you to go and build fellowship, build community with other students, study, eat, have dinner, bake cookies, sell them at the flagpoles for a fundraiser. It is your building. Literally the only rule is you rinse your dishes and you put them in the dishwasher when you're done. Besides that, we want you in our building as much as possible. I do think that's a big advantage we offer you. I don't care where you study and where you hang out when you get to Western's campus. You have lots of places around here. I was in the Honors College as a student, but I just preferred the library. So I stayed there, but I want you to find a workspace. I want you to find a place physically outside your res hall room. Use the common areas in the res hall, or use the library, or use the Honors College, or business college, however you feel comfortable. But I really want you doing your work someplace other than you're doing your sleeping. I really want you to reserve that room to be your place as a person, and find a place for you to be as a student somewhere else on our campus. And I think our building, thank you to our benefactors, Carl and Winnie, to providing that for you as students. But I think that's one of the bigger perks to being in the Honors College. Is there special housing? Yes, thank you, Tucker. Do you have to live there? Yes, you have to live wherever we tell you to live. No, that's not really true. So you, as a student, have multiple options on where to live. At Western, we have things called living learning communities. So these are communities that are meant to put together like majors, meant to put together like-minded students around a personal passion or a form of their identity that they want to live with others that identify similar to them. But more importantly, these living learning communities are able to pipe in resources that speak to that major, to speak to tutoring opportunities for your classes, that put you with students who are have similar goals and similar concerns when it comes to making sure you're getting the right tutoring and support services. So yes, there is a honors res hall. It is directly next to the new Valley Dining Center. If you haven't eaten there yet, y'all eat a lot better than I did when I was in college, but it's right next to the Valley Dining Center. It's 7 floors. We get the whole building, and then they have a couple STEM floors built in there. So science, technology, engineering, and math students can self-segregate, do all your chem studying. But also, 3 years ago, we were tired of telling you, hey, you can live with the honors students or you can live with your major. So we started building pockets of honors housing within other living learning communities. So there's a pre-health honors, there's business honors, there's engineering honors. So yes, we have a res hall. No, you're not required to live there. Tucker, I want you to live in the exact space that you're going to be the best position for success. And so are we going to help you have that conversation? Yep, absolutely. We're going to talk about it throughout the recruitment season in the spring, but also we're going to talk about it, orientation, to make sure you're in the right space. But no, we'll never specifically tell you where you have to go. So good question. Yes. And our Res Life department has done a great job offering these and creating these opportunities for you as honors students, so you have options like that. What are some other questions you have? Anybody curious when you get kicked out for your GPA? I think that's an important question that we should talk about. So by the time you graduate, you need to have a 3.5. That is the standard we hold you to as honors Broncos. But that 3.5 and how we look at that 3.5 is extremely important as you prepare for college. This is not a, hey, I had a really bad first semester. I dropped to a 3.49 and you got kicked out of the honors college. That's the last thing we'll do. Our job is to support you as Broncos first and honors students second. So it takes 3 consecutive semesters of a cumulative GPA below a 3.5 to get you eligible for dismissal from the college. And I think that's an important distinction. We're not going to cut bait just because your GPA dipped. What our goal is to invest in you, to continue to invest in you, and help you find success in the classroom again. Life is going to happen. Unfortunately, I wish for all of you, Haley, Tucker, all of our friends out there, I wish that we could just pause the world while you go off and earn a 4-year degree, but they're not going to cooperate. So that means you're going to get sick, right? Grandma's going to get sick. I always joke that you're going to get broken up with, mainly because I'm processing my feelings about being broken up with a lot in college. Some of our maturity arcs are longer than others, but all's well that ends well, right? So these things are going to happen, and they're going to affect the ability for you to excel academically every single semester. And our goal is to support you with that. Our goal is to stay with you throughout that journey. You'll hear us, again, like I mentioned earlier, talk a lot about grit. Guess what? The definition of grit by Dr. Angela Duckworth, who is an expert in this area, is something that requires the passion and perseverance for especially long-term goals. That's a college degree. That is a 4-year bachelor's degree, an especially long-term goal that requires both passion and perseverance. And you're going to have a bad semester. You're going to struggle in college. And I think one of the ways that we do a better job supporting you as students is talking to you about that often. And we lead off with those conversations often. If you came to Western, participated in the Honors College, and didn't struggle over 4 years, then you should be really upset with yourself, and you should be really upset with us. You're here to work, you're here to grow. And so again, we work with you on these things. This is not you have a bad term and we just kick you out so we don't have to work with you anymore. It's the opposite of that. We want to work with you. We want you to persevere. We want you to come back, join us another semester and bring that GPA back up. All right, any other questions at all? It's been a quick 40 minutes with you all. I'd like to spend some more time if you all have some more questions, but I understand if you all have dinner to get to. All right, well, I hope this was beneficial. We got one more question that came in. How accessible are teachers? I don't know. How accessible are you as students? The argument I will make for you is that college is expensive, right? For both time and resources. Every single one of our faculty members on this entire campus will sit with their door open for 2 hours a week at minimum, and probably by appointment only on top of that. So in your honors classes, they should be very accessible because you're only in there with 24 other people at the most. So you should know your professors very, very well. They should know you. But for your other non-honors courses that may be a little bit larger, Western has a small class size, so your average I think is around 40, if not below that. So it's not a big class size. But you should get to know professors. One of the things I'll challenge you to do as a student is to go to office hours in the first 2 weeks of every semester, whether you have a question or not. And we'll talk to you about that. We'll role play with you in our office. I really want you to go to office hours, introduce yourself. I give you a hint. If you don't have any questions and you feel good about the course, go in there and ask the professor about the research, and then just put your seatbelt on and hang out. They will talk to you all day about the groundbreaking research that they're doing in their field. If you're having trouble, if you're worried, if you think this course is going to be tough, go to office hours and say, hey, I'm committed to this. I'm going to do well. So if I get into trouble, what is the number one resource that you have, that we have at Western to help me, to support me in this classroom? Because we have a ton of support options, tutoring options, mentoring options. But a good way to start that relationship with your college professor is to have that conversation before you need the help. And so I would challenge all of you, including, not just the person asking the question. Teachers are accessible. You have to walk in, right? You have to ask, you have to email, you have to reach out and show them that you're committed, and they'll help you with whatever you need. Haley asked, are there requirements while in the Honors College? So for volunteer hours? Yes. So there's 2 annual requirements that you'll complete. One of them only lasts for your first 2 years. That is that you will attend 4 events for us your first year. These are events that the college either creates and puts on ourselves, or we partner with really good people across campus to bring you in front of experts in different areas. We average 3 events a week in the college, so it's very easy to find 4 events your entire first year in college to attend. And so you would do 4 your first year and 2 your second year. The volunteer requirement is also applicable. So you'll do 20 hours of service in the community every single year that you're at Western Michigan in the Honors College. Most importantly, as a first-year student, we're going to provide a lot of those opportunities for you, meaning that we're going to set up relationships with volunteer organizations in the area. Sometimes we'll, invite you to the college on a Saturday morning, stuff you full of bagels, and take you to Habitat for Humanity, and you'll build a house, right? And those are impactful things. You improve the community by being an honors student. But by sophomore year, junior year, I really want you to be thinking about, how do I match up my path as a Bronco, my path as a student and an eventual professional, along with my passion as a person. And so what I mean by that is, if you really like Habitat for Humanity, but you're an accounting major, maybe working on the house isn't the best use of your time. Maybe you're back at the main office with Habitat helping them with their books, right? Or where's my Haley friend from marketing, right? So you're doing a marketing plan. You're getting more volunteers to show up for Habitat for Humanity than maybe you picking up the hammer and nail yourself. So we're going to organize a lot of that volunteer stuff for you. But I'm also going to encourage you, by the end of sophomore year, I want you to be thinking outside the box of how I can connect my classroom experience with a personal passion that I want to improve in the surrounding area, and build professional connections along with that time. So you're networking, you're developing that skill set, and all the time serving the community. So yes, 6 events over your first 2 years, and 20 hours of service every year you're in the college. You have all the way through June each year to submit that. So if you're nope, I can't do any of this stuff during the school year, I have to do it in the summer, fantastic. Do it in May, submit it in June, you're good to go. You can get staying the whole time. Looks like we had a couple more questions come in. One more question come in. How bad is it getting during the winter? You're asking the wrong person. I'm from the Carolinas. So this whole snow thing I didn't see until I was at least a couple years older than most of you all probably chiming in right now. That said, I've adapted. Just a little bit of my personal story is that my wife picked Western for me, along with most of the better decisions that I've made in my life. I just did what she told me to. And we came up here to finish our bachelor's degrees, and we were going to move back someplace warmer. What I found, though, was that I really love the community. I love campus. I love Kalamazoo as an area. And so we've stuck it through. And I will have a pause at some point during the middle of January where everything's gray and cold, and I have tears running down my face as I'm walking to the bus stop in the morning. But I'll persevere, right? It's that grit and perseverance piece we're talking about in the Honors College that helps in the winter, too. The sidewalks are clear. One of the things you may find most disappointing is that you don't get a lot of snow days here. We have probably the best landscaping and maintenance crew in the state of Michigan for any campus. And I mean that. You're going to see that when you visit. You're going to see how well our campus is taken care of. And unfortunately for you all, they're hoping for a snow day. Many times those landscaping folks are up at 4 in the morning, and those sidewalks are crystal clear and salted by the time you wake up and get to walk on them to go to class. So if I can make it, born in North Carolina, grew up in South Carolina around Charleston area, if I can make it up here, I have no doubt that any of you can persevere a lot better than I can. So I have enjoyed the climate. So all right, well, I think that's, now one more question. How long have I been working at Western? I don't know. 15 years on campus. And so I came to Western 15 years ago as a transfer student. I completed my degree here. I worked every semester for the institution while I was an undergraduate. So I had a couple different work-study jobs that I did, as well as working jobs in the community. I came here for graduate school right away. I worked as a teaching assistant. In addition to teaching classes through my assistantship, I was also president of the union for the teaching assistant union for a while. So I got to represent my colleagues on improving classroom environments and being more effective with you as students. Right after I finished my grad work, I was offered a job as academic advisor in the College of Education. I worked there for 3 years and really found a passion for working with college students. And then 7 years ago, I joined the Honors College staff, where I've been since that time. I've really enjoyed my work there. Between my first degree as associate's degree and my current role in education, I actually worked as a firefighter EMT for 5 years. So completely different life change for me. And I want to, I'll probably close with this, but this is intentional, why I want to choose this to talk about. About a third of you, whoever's watching this video, a third of you are going to change your majors, right? And I want you to know that that's okay, right? So I joined the university again as a transfer student. I had my associate's degree. My associate's was in criminal justice. I had 5 years of fire and EMS experience at that time. The next logical step for me was, cool, I'm gonna do pre-med, right? I worked on the ambulance. Hospital seems the next logical step. And so I came to Western and I started the pre-med program. And just between us, pre-med did not like me and I did not like pre-med right back. And so it was a mutual dislike for each other. And so I switched my major and could not be better for it. I really had to think about what I valued about being a firefighter and EMT, and that really was helping others and solving problems. And guess what I get to do every day for honor students? Help and solve problems. That's it. And so it's really about finding the value that you get out of your professional life and professional career, and how you can build your argument to the world of how Western and the Honors College prepared you for that step. One more questions coming in. Y'all getting active now. Could you please repeat the top 3 advantages for honors? Yes, Donna, I will. And these are according to students. I would probably give you a couple different ones. For students, it is that we have small class sizes and good instruction. Our stuff's capped at 25, and again, we have faculty that we're recruiting to come be in that room with you. We have priority registration, which means you pick your classes before any other undergraduate on this campus every semester. So you get carte blanche options at the very beginning of the registration term. And then finally, we have a beautiful building with free coffee, tea, and hot chocolate in it at all times. I would bump the hot chocolate out, even though it's good, but I would bump the hot chocolate out and save the thesis. Again, the thesis is your argument of why you're better prepared than others. And so I would always hang your hat on that. And something I really want to push for all of you while you're here, to find that value in there and do a good job with your thesis, but also be proud of what you do and pick something that you're very passionate about. So, all right, those are all really, really good questions. Yeah, so I think we're all set. I'm gonna give you all about 10 seconds as I say goodbye in case y'all want to slide one more into the chat. But I've really enjoyed spending some time with y'all this evening. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the good questions. I hope to see all of you at either the medallion competition or a later open house. Again, my name is Anthony. Right now I'm in the assistant dean role for the college, but I've been working advising and student services on campus for about 10 years. And I'd love to meet you in person. Remind us of this conversation when we meet, and I can answer any of the questions that you've accrued along the way. So I'll close with this. Our faculty is here to help you learn. Our staff is here to help you succeed. Welcome once again to the community that is Western Michigan University. You have a good night.